The biting wind whipped across the exposed plains, carrying with it the scent of pine and something else, something primal. Alara clutched her infant closer, the rough fur of the mammoth hide a familiar comfort against her cheek, even as its weight pressed down. Her eyes, accustomed to the low light filtering through the caves, scanned the tree line, a flicker of unease stirring within her. It was a world of stark beauty and unforgiving brutality, a canvas upon which the lives of her people, the Neanderthals, were etched in every scar, every successful hunt, every silent vigil. For too long, the narrative had been dominated by broad strokes: the brutish caveman, the stoic hunter, a species overshadowed by the relentless march of Homo sapiens. But within this sweeping epic, a crucial chapter remained largely unwritten, or at best, dismissed with a dismissive wave: the lives of Neanderthal women. Were they merely extensions of the male hunter, silent figures tending fires, bearing children? Or did their existence encompass a far richer tapestry of roles? Mothers, certainly, but also skilled artisans, revered elders, perhaps even fierce protectors? The very earth beneath our feet holds fragments of their story, whispered secrets in fossilized bones and scattered tools. For generations, archaeological interpretations, often viewed through a modern, male-centric lens, painted a picture of early human societies where gender roles were rigidly defined, with women confined to a domestic sphere, a concept both simplistic and increasingly challenged by mounting evidence. Imagine, if you will, the harsh realities of their world. The Ice Age was not a distant memory, but an ever-present force, shaping landscapes, dictating migrations, and forging the very resilience of those who dared to call it home. Survival was not a given. It was an earned privilege, paid for in sweat, in blood, and in an intimate understanding of the natural world. In such an environment, every member of the community had to contribute, and the idea of half the population being solely dependent, passive recipients of sustenance, seems increasingly incongruous with the demands of their challenging existence. Consider the intricate division of labor that must have existed not as a sign of weakness, but as a testament to their adaptability and collective intelligence. While men, with their robust physique and endurance, may have specialized in the pursuit of large game, the thundering mammoths, the elusive reindeer, what of the myriad other tasks essential for daily life? Tasks that required acute observation, profound knowledge of flora and fauna, and perhaps a different kind of strength. The gathering of edible plants, roots, and berries, the identification of medicinal herbs, the meticulous preparation of hides for clothing and shelter. These were not trivial pursuits, but critical components of their survival strategy. And who, then, was better equipped for such tasks than women, often with a deep-seated connection to the rhythms of the land, perhaps even passing down generations of botanical wisdom? The image of a Neanderthal woman, her face weathered by the elements, her hands deft and strong, engaged in the laborious process of hide preparation, or carefully grinding pigments for cave art, challenges the prevailing stereotypes. It invites us to look beyond the simplistic caricatures and to envision a complex social structure where every individual, regardless of gender, played a vital, interconnected role. The story we are about to explore delves into these hidden narratives, sifting through the archaeological record, examining the latest scientific insights, and daring to reimagine the lives of these enigmatic women not as shadows of their male counterparts, but as fully realized individuals, integral to the very fabric of Neanderthal society. We seek to understand not just what they did, but who they were, in a world that demanded resilience, ingenuity, and an unbreakable bond with their kin. The very concept of a typical Neanderthal life, particularly for women, is a complex mosaic pieced together from fragments of evidence that span vast geographical regions and hundreds of thousands of years. From the sun-baked plains of Iberia, to the frigid steppes of Siberia, Neanderthal communities adapted to incredibly diverse environments. This adaptability itself hints at a flexibility in their social structures and a breadth of skills held by all members, including women. One of the most profound roles attributed to Neanderthal women, universally and undeniably, is that of mother. The evidence for this is etched into the very bones discovered. The wide pelvic structures observed in female Neanderthal skeletons suggest adaptations for carrying and birthing relatively large-brained infants, a demanding biological process that would have had significant implications for their daily lives. The period of infancy and childhood for Neanderthals was likely prolonged, similar to modern humans, requiring extensive care and protection. A pregnant or nursing woman would have faced unique challenges in a foraging society, balancing the demands of childcare with the necessity of contributing to the group's survival. This is not to say they were confined or limited, but rather that their activities would have been strategically interwoven with the needs of their offspring. Consider the daily rhythms of a Neanderthal mother. Young children would have needed constant supervision, warmth, and nourishment. While the men might be absent for days on a large hunt, the women, alongside elders and perhaps even older children, would have been the primary caretakers within the immediate camp or shelter. This would have necessitated a deep knowledge of safe foraging grounds nearby, sources of clean water, and the ability to construct temporary shelters or modify existing caves to provide a secure environment. The sharing of childcare responsibilities within a close-knit group, an alloparenting system, is a common feature in many modern hunter-gatherer societies and would have been an invaluable strategy for Neanderthals, allowing mothers greater flexibility and ensuring the survival of the young. Imagine the shared laughter, the whispered stories, the gentle instruction passing from grandmother to daughter, from mother to child around a flickering fire. Beyond the immediate care of infants, women were likely central to the acquisition and processing of smaller game and plant resources. While the dramatic image of a mammoth hunt often dominates our perception, the reality of survival for any hunter-gatherer group lies in the consistent, reliable acquisition of calories. Small game, birds, rabbits, fish, turtles, and a vast array of edible plants would have formed the bedrock of their diet. This requires an intimate understanding of ecological cycles, the ability to set snares, to identify tracks, to know which berries are safe and which are poisonous. These are not pursuits of mere happenstance. They demand profound knowledge and skill, knowledge often accumulated and passed down through generations, often through the female line. Archaeological discoveries of stone tools, meticulously crafted and used for various tasks, further illuminate this picture. While we often associate robust axes and spears with male hunters, there is a fascinating array of smaller, finer tools found at Neanderthal sites: scrapers for hide processing, awls for piercing and sewing, bone needles for intricate work. The preparation of animal hides into warm, durable clothing was not a simple task. It required strength, patience, and precise technique. Imagine the arduous process: scraping off flesh and fat, softening the hide through chewing or brain tanning, and then stitching pieces together with sinew using fine bone needles. These garments were not merely adornment. They were crucial for survival in the harsh European climate, offering protection from the biting cold and driving snow. The mastery of such skills points to a significant investment of time and expertise, and it is highly plausible that women were at the forefront of these essential domestic industries, turning raw materials into indispensable necessities. This wasn't merely craft. It was the foundation of their very existence in an unforgiving world. The discovery of the Shanidar cave in Iraq, specifically the remains of Shanidar III, a male Neanderthal with a healed rib fracture and evidence of spear wounds, has long been interpreted as proof of a demanding hunting lifestyle, perhaps even intergroup violence. But another Shanidar discovery, that of Shanidar I, an elderly male with multiple debilitating injuries who survived for years, indicating significant care from his group. And perhaps even more poignantly, the remains found alongside him, particularly Shanidar 4, often dubbed the flower burial, offer tantalizing glimpses into a more nuanced understanding of Neanderthal compassion and, potentially, the roles women played in ritual and healing. While the flower burial hypothesis remains debated, the presence of various plant pollens, if intentionally placed, speaks to an understanding of flora beyond mere sustenance. Who within the community would possess such intricate botanical knowledge? It is plausible that women, through their role in gathering and preparing plants for food and medicine, were the custodians of this vital information. Consider the implications of an individual surviving severe injuries or debilitating conditions. Shanidar 1, for instance, had lost an arm, was partially blind, and suffered from degenerative joint disease, yet lived for many years after his injuries. This extraordinary survival would have required constant support, help with movement, assistance with food preparation, protection from threats. Such care underscores a deep communal bond and a willingness to invest in the survival of even non-productive members. While both sexes would have contributed to this care, the sustained, intimate nurturing required for such long-term survival aligns strongly with roles often associated with women in human societies, roles that involve patient application of medicinal knowledge, emotional support, and consistent attendance. Beyond daily survival and care, the symbolic lives of Neanderthals are increasingly coming into focus, challenging the long-held view of them as purely pragmatic beings. Evidence of personal adornment, such as pierced shells, eagle talons, and carved bone objects, has been found at various sites. The very act of creating and wearing such ornaments suggests an appreciation for aesthetics, perhaps a sense of individual or group identity, and potentially a role in social signaling. Who was crafting these intricate pieces? Who was choosing to wear them? And why? If women were indeed highly skilled in working with hides and bone for clothing and tools, it is not a stretch to imagine them applying these same skills to create decorative items, perhaps even participating in the development of early forms of symbolic expression. The intricate threading of beads, the careful shaping of pendants, these were not idle pastimes, but demonstrations of fine motor skills and creative thought. Furthermore, the growing body of evidence for Neanderthal artistic expression, particularly cave engravings and the use of pigments, hints at a rich inner world. While the famous cave art of the Upper Paleolithic is often attributed to Cro-Magnon humans, recent discoveries like the geometric engravings in Gorham's Cave, Gibraltar, and the deliberate use of manganese dioxide and ochre pigments indicate that Neanderthals, too, engaged in symbolic activities. The preparation and application of pigments, often requiring knowledge of mineral sources and processing techniques, might well have fallen within the domain of tasks typically performed by women due to their close association with material processing for other purposes. Did Neanderthal women participate in creating these marks, perhaps as part of rituals, storytelling, or simply as an expression of their perception of the world? The possibility broadens our understanding of their cognitive abilities and challenges the notion that complex symbolic thought was exclusive to our direct ancestors. The picture emerging is one of a complex society where gender roles, while perhaps different from our own, were complementary and equally vital. The traditional narrative of the male hunter dominating the landscape and bringing home all sustenance increasingly feels incomplete. Instead, we see a collaborative existence where the diverse skills and knowledge of both men and women were indispensable for navigating the challenges of their formidable world. The silent, stoic figures of earlier interpretations begin to acquire depth, agency, and a nuanced understanding of their contributions to the thriving, surviving communities they built across Ice Age Europe and Asia. The skeletal remains of Neanderthal women themselves offer intriguing clues, going beyond mere pelvic structure. Studies on muscle attachment sites and bone density reveal physically robust individuals, consistent with a life of strenuous activity. While interpretations often lean towards the idea that such robustness was a result of carrying heavy loads or participating in hunts, it's equally plausible that these strong physiques were developed through a combination of daily activities, long-distance foraging, carrying infants, and gathered resources, processing tough materials, and perhaps even engaging in defensive actions. The idea of Neanderthal women as solely domestic in a modern sense is a profound misapplication of terms. Their domestic sphere encompassed the entire landscape. Their home was where the group was, and their contributions were intrinsically tied to active engagement with their environment. Consider the energetic demands placed upon a Neanderthal woman. Pregnancy and lactation are incredibly energy-intensive states. To sustain these biological processes in a challenging environment required a consistent and reliable intake of high-quality nutrition. This further underscores the importance of their role in gathering diverse food sources, supplementing the potentially unpredictable yield of large game hunting. If a large hunt failed, or if game was scarce, the consistent availability of gathered plants, insects, small animals, and scavenged resources would have been the crucial buffer against starvation. This consistent provision of calories, often overlooked in the dramatic narratives of big game hunting, was arguably the bedrock of their survival, and it is a role in which women likely excelled and specialized. Moreover, the division of labor, if it existed, was likely far more fluid and overlapping than previously assumed. Recent research on bone use-wear patterns and dental calculus, plaque, provides astonishing insights into the actual activities performed by individual Neanderthals regardless of sex. Studies have shown that both male and female Neanderthals exhibited similar patterns of wear on their teeth, consistent with using their mouths as a third hand for gripping, pulling, and processing materials, such as hides or plant fibers. This suggests that tasks requiring fine motor skills and material processing were not strictly gender segregated, but shared amongst the group. For example, the discovery of a Neanderthal woman's skeleton from El Sidrón cave in Spain revealed dental wear patterns consistent with processing hides, similar to male individuals found at the same site. Furthermore, the genetic analysis of the El Sidrón remains provided crucial insights into their social structure. The mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, indicated that the adult females in the group were not closely related, while the males shared common mtDNA lineages. This pattern, often observed in patrilocal societies where women move to live with their male partner's group, suggests that Neanderthal women might have frequently moved between groups, perhaps for mating purposes, to reduce inbreeding, or to strengthen social networks. If Neanderthal women were indeed moving between different communities, the implications are profound. They would have served as vital conduits of cultural exchange, carrying with them not just their genes, but also their accumulated knowledge, skills, and traditions. Imagine a young woman, Alara, leaving her birth group to join another. She would bring with her the specific knowledge of her homeland's resources, her family's unique techniques for tool-making or hide preparation, and perhaps even their distinctive songs or stories. This constant flow of knowledge and innovation, facilitated by the movement of women, could have been a powerful engine for cultural resilience and adaptation across the vast Neanderthal range. It challenges the stereotype of isolated, static Neanderthal bands and instead paints a picture of interconnected communities, bound by kinship and the exchange of vital information. The idea of women as warriors in the conventional sense of actively participating in large-scale combat might be harder to prove directly from the archaeological record, but it is not entirely outside the realm of possibility. In smaller, mobile foraging groups, the distinction between hunter and protector, provider and defender, often blurs. If a group faced an immediate threat, a competing hominin group, a dangerous predator, it is highly improbable that half the adult population would remain passive. The physical robustness of Neanderthal women suggests they were capable of defending themselves and their offspring. Their intimate knowledge of the local terrain, their strength, and their skills with tools could have been vital in deterring threats or aiding in the defense of the camp. While systematic warfare as we understand it might not have been a feature of their societies, the instinct for survival and the protection of kin would have transcended gender. The more we delve into the world of Neanderthal women, the more their lives appear not as footnotes to the male experience, but as central, active, and indispensable contributions to the survival and flourishing of their species. They were not just biological vessels, they were skilled individuals, repositories of knowledge, social connectors, and resilient navigators of an ancient, challenging world. The meticulous study of Neanderthal tooth enamel, a silent archive of an individual's life, has further illuminated the activities and diet of these ancient people. Isotopic analysis of carbon and nitrogen within the enamel can reveal dietary patterns indicating the relative proportion of meat versus plant matter consumed. While early studies often suggested a heavily carnivorous diet for Neanderthals, newer, more sophisticated analyses, particularly those focusing on female remains, are starting to paint a more varied picture. Some studies indicate a significant, though perhaps regional, intake of plant-based foods, and even occasional marine resources where available. This dietary breadth aligns perfectly with the proposed role of women as active gatherers and processors of diverse food sources. It suggests a strategic approach to foraging, ensuring a wider nutritional base and greater resilience against periods of scarcity for specific resources. Consider the implications of this diverse diet on their cognitive abilities and overall health. A varied diet would have provided a broader spectrum of nutrients, potentially contributing to healthier pregnancies, stronger immune systems, and the optimal development of their large brains. This, in turn, reinforces the idea of women's profound contribution to the biological and intellectual robustness of their communities. The quiet, consistent work of identifying, harvesting, and preparing a wide range of edible plants, insects, mollusks, and small game was a high-stakes endeavor, requiring encyclopedic botanical and zoological knowledge, passed down orally and through direct apprenticeship from generation to generation. The very landscape itself was a library for these women. They would have known the seasonal cycles of berry bushes, the locations of nut-bearing trees, the subtle signs of subterranean tubers, and the habitats of small game. This was not intuitive knowledge, but accumulated wisdom, sharpened over countless years, observed in minute detail from sunrise to sunset, through changing seasons. Imagine a mother, Anya, teaching her daughter, Lena, which mushrooms were safe to eat, demonstrating how to extract nourishing marrow from tiny bones, or showing her the perfect spot by the river where wild celery grew in abundance. These were lessons that directly translated to survival. Beyond sustenance, women might have played a crucial role in the social cohesion and stability of the group. In a nomadic or semi-nomadic society where individuals could be vulnerable alone, the strength of the collective was paramount. The creation and maintenance of social bonds, the resolution of minor disputes, the passing down of communal stories and traditions, these are often roles associated with nurturing figures within a community. While it is impossible to definitively assign these roles by gender, the consistent presence of women in the camp, particularly those responsible for childcare, positions them as central figures in fostering a stable and supportive social environment. The emotional intelligence required for maintaining harmony within a small, interdependent group under conditions of constant environmental stress should not be underestimated. Furthermore, the longevity of some Neanderthal individuals, like Shanidar 1, implies that elders, both male and female, played significant roles. Elderly women, no longer burdened by childbearing, could have become invaluable repositories of knowledge. master craftswomen, experienced healers, storytellers, and guides for the younger generations. Their accumulated wisdom on everything from resource locations to tool-making techniques, from medicinal plant uses to weather patterns, would have been critical for the group's long-term success. The respect and care shown to elders suggest a highly developed social system that valued experience and collective memory. A matriarch, perhaps a woman named Lyra, might have held significant influence. Her decisions shaped by decades of observation and her guidance sought on matters of survival, ritual, and intergroup relations. The perceived brutishness of Neanderthals, a stereotype that has permeated popular culture for over a century, is increasingly being dismantled by these new insights. Instead, we see evidence of complex social structures, compassionate care for the vulnerable, symbolic thought, and sophisticated environmental adaptation. Within this revised understanding, the roles of Neanderthal women shine brighter, moving from the periphery to the very heart of their existence. They were not merely passive recipients of male provisions, but active agents, shaping their world, nurturing their young, and contributing their distinct skills and knowledge to ensure the endurance of their kind against the formidable backdrop of the Ice Age. Their story is one of resilience, ingenuity, and a quiet, profound strength.